Dun, dun, dun. Hey, how are you? It's Belen Diaz, and this is the E-volve show. And today we have another great speaker with us, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Her name is Sydney Campos. Sydney Campos is a visionary healer, coherence consultant, and author of the Empath Experience, to mention some of her expertises. Hello, Sydney. How are you?
Hi, it's so beautiful to be with you. Thank you for inviting me to play.
Yeah, totally. It's a pleasure to have you here. So I think we can start out maybe talking about what you do for work or how you help women or people in general. If you want to talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Yeah, so I am an intuitive healer and also a business consultant. So I work with individuals to, support them in business, but really the underlying energetics of business and energetics of what it is to be authentic, what it is to be confident, powerful, and fully alive, right, in all aspects of your life. And then I also work with conscious companies and kind of what I call new earth organizations to build cultures based in coherence and authenticity. So I am just like so full of gratitude right now, celebrating all of the beautiful people that I get to play with every day. I just feel super blessed.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment, right, to work with all these
Mm-hmm.
people. And I
Mm-hmm.
was curious when you on your website it says like you are a visionary coach. I would like to know a little bit about it for the people who doesn't really know what that means. If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, a visionary is someone that can see the future that doesn't exist yet because they're meant to bring it into reality. And so I've always seen the future potentials that haven't materialized on Earth yet. From the moment I was born, I kind of felt like, am I on the wrong planet? Things aren't really working out around me the way that I would expect them to be. Can't we do a lot better? Can't we take care of each other better? Can't we be having a lot more fun? Can't we be living in more abundance? And so I really love to support other people that resonate with that type of outlook, that can't help but understand the more positive, probably optimistic viewpoint of what's possible for us, and also what comes kind of in the same territory of being a visionary is this understanding that to bring our great vision forth to effectively lead the kinds of lives that we want to lead, we get to take a lot of responsibility for doing our inner work, right, to create the outer reality that we desire experiencing. We know it's an inside job, and so we know we get to really be our own best healer, give ourselves our own best medicine, and ultimately we understand that we have everything that we need within us, and it's just a matter of usually giving ourselves permission to simply access it, right? And that's why I love the premise of your show today. It feels like you're speaking directly to visionaries, to people that have a deep calling to be of service, that have this mission that they're ready to show up in, but there's just some little things in the way maybe of fully believing that they can do it, that it's possible, that they deserve it, that they're ready. I mean, these are all the questions I see everybody pretty much shares across the board. So it's perfect conversation that we're having today, especially for the times that we're living in right now.
Totally. Yeah, because I feel like sometimes we're all the time like looking outside, looking for things, what is the next job or the next thing, but we don't spend the time to stop and look inside of us. But something we were talking before we start recording, like nowadays we are so lucky because we are in a moment where people are awakening, so it's very easy this conversation, because before, when you were talking about creating your life, the life you want, and working in yourself, people will not understand, but nowadays it's something more common, so it's great for everybody. And for all of you guys that are watching the video, like it's a possibility, right? Like it's a moment where you can start having all this access to all these people who are working, doing all these jobs.
Well, actually, it's inevitable. If people don't see that that is the path forward, they will soon see it. There's really no choice at this point, and it's not something to be afraid of. Waking up is not something to be fearful of. It's part of our evolution into what I like to call heaven on earth, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that you're not a victim to anything, and you can do whatever you want, and that the gift that you have within you to share, it's meant to be shared. And if you don't share it, that voice within you that's telling you, you know it's looking at what things are not working in your life, it's just going to get louder and louder. Like, you have to listen, you have to take responsibility, you have to support yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful gift to do these things for yourself, to love yourself, to allow yourself the space to be fully expressed.
Yeah, totally agree, Sydney. And I was gonna ask you, was always this a way for you? Like, did you
No.
always feel confident and feeling like you can create whatever you want? Well, how was your background? It's
I
like,
know,
no
no way. I would have watched, if I was like myself, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, my whole life,
Uh-huh.
watching this now, I'd be like, you're full of crap. Like, no, whatever. Yeah, create the life that you want. Like, you must be, the stories I used to run when I would hear people living in, I would hear about people living incredible lives. And if I heard someone kind of talking the way that I'm talking now, a prior version of myself would have come up with all these reasons as to why this is not true. And I probably would have said, you only think that because like you've had everything given to you your whole life. You've never had to work like me. Your parents are probably rich and just take care of you. You don't know what it's like to struggle. And I just had so many judgments and stories that basically prevented myself from feeling free, feeling like I could do what I wanted. And so no, it was not always like this. In fact, what I just shared with you is something that continues to anchor in more deeply into my experience. But I do believe it. I do really believe it. I do feel like I embody what I say, because I actually, even a few years ago, would probably have said the same thing, but I don't know if I was embodying it either. It's one thing to say something and make it sound really good and teach about it, even, and share about it with tons of people and even write books about it. But that, maybe underlying, you don't actually believe yourself and you don't really embody or understand what it is you're saying. So I
Mm-hmm.
see this happening now too, in a big level. Like, in our awakening, a lot of teachers are realizing the importance of actually embodying what we've been, telling everybody this whole
Practicing
time.
it by yourself, right?
Exactly. And so a turning point for me in you know the path of arriving into more confidence, and really just presence. Confidence comes down to presence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. When you're present, you're yourself, you're authentic, you're not managing anything, you're not wearing masks, you're not maintaining different identities, worrying what people are thinking about you. You're just present, and you're open to sharing what is meant to come through you, which usually has a really magnetic resonance
Mm-hmm.
because it's authentic. It's not contrived, it's not manipulated. And that's been one of my biggest lessons in this life. And I'd say the turning point came with, there are a lot that come to mind. The first one was getting sober from drugs and alcohol after a long battle with addiction. And I let go of those substances that had been big ways of escaping and checking out. And letting that go brought up all this space to finally be with the underlying wounds that I was avoiding dealing with, and that set off a huge healing journey, awakening process, got into lots of self work and energy healing, intuitive healing. And then another layer of this lesson of authenticity, confidence, presence has come again and again through running my own business. I think I love working with entrepreneurs because entrepreneurship is the ultimate incubator for this precise kind of energetic healing. Running our own business is the vehicle that brings up all this stuff that we probably couldn't effectively see otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you're really choosing to go for your dream and go for service, whether that's in your own business or in whatever context you're living in, you know, it's like really living with confidence, with presence, with authenticity is going to require you to face whatever wounds, whatever energy is present within you, that feels like an obstacle, to having what you want, to being who you're here to be. It requires a lot of intimacy, frankly, which we've been conditioned through a lot of our social structures to be really terrified of, and to not know how to receive or initiate the kind of intimacy and connection that we want more than anything.
Yeah, that's so valuable what you're saying. I think like one of the things that you were mentioning, how like to be authentic, that's true. Like that's the first thing in order to feel confident, because at the end that's what it is. Like if you're not being true to yourself mainly and to the people who are around you, like it doesn't matter if you're like building up this confidence, but then it can become in arrogance because if you're not being true to yourself, right?
Yeah, that's one way that these distortions can be expressed. Like if we're wearing, well, one way I would break it down, I always tend to see things through the lens of like transmuting our trauma. When we do that, when we transmute our traumatic memory and traumatic experiences, we often find that our greatest gifts are revealed. And
Mm-hmm.
so if we look at our lives as this opportunity to just do these massive transmutations that then reveal our greatest gifts and our genius, you can easily look to, okay, what are ways in your life that you show up and they don't really feel good? Like what are ways that you operate in your relationships, especially intimate ones with family, with people you really love? What are ways that you get triggered? What are the moments in which you feel like you're getting really, you're feeling pain, you're feeling suffering, and how do you meet those moments? How do you meet them? Do you run away? Do you fight? Do you get defensive? Do you take responsibility and process what you're feeling? And are you open to being really authentic and sharing what your experience is? I mean, how we show up in these moments when our stuff is activated tells us everything about ourselves, about the lessons we're here to learn, and about what's really in our way of being ourselves.
Totally. That's so great. And what will be like talking about all of this, what will be a tip or something actionable that the audience can take today, like to feel more like true to themselves?
Tune in here and see what is most. So many things I could share. I'm writing a new book about a lot of what we're speaking to. So I hope that will be of service to everyone listening and to the world as a whole. Because there's so much I've learned in this question you're asking. It's really big. What's the most important
Like
thing?
the first step, for example, like
Yeah, I'm
something.
trying to simplify and just give something really practical and simple. And I've said this before, it's like the most simple thing. It's so easy, but do we actually take the time to do it? It's like I would suggest for anyone early on this path, really curious about creating a deeper connection with themselves and tuning in with their inner voice, which naturally guides you to living more authentically and being authentically expressed. A
Mhm.
really easy practice is to just take a few moments throughout the day, and just stop yourself, whatever you're doing, especially if you're very externally focused, you know, create a practice of going inward for even a minute or two. You can set a timer for 1 minute, kind of force yourself to take some really deep, slow breaths
Mhm.
and tune in to your heart. Bring your energy down to the lower parts of your body. So often we can be oriented only in our mind, and all of our energy is just operating through this very limited structure, right? Cutting us off from intuition, from our other perception. So slow your body down, get into your breath, feel your full body, connect with the earth, ground yourself, and then ask, what is the most beautiful thing I would love to experience right now? What am I grateful for right now in this moment? What am I celebrating about myself in this moment? What am I learning in this moment? What is something I can support myself with right now? These are some of my favorite questions, and they purposefully activate our higher consciousness, our intuition, and help to plug us into more synchronicity when we take action in alignment with the guidance that we will receive.
Yeah, that's so good. I hope everybody take notes of that. We need to stop for a second and really get in. And yeah, like sometimes we just get busy in the day a day and we just don't really pay attention to ourselves. So I think that's so great. And Sydney, would you like to talk about your book since you brought it up?
Sure. Well, my other book that is very pertinent to what we're talking about is called The Empath Experience: What to Do When You Feel Everything, and talks a lot about energetic mastery, intuition, and what it is to be a really highly sensitive person that's maybe used to taking on or tuning into the energy of other people. I know this is very relevant for the awakening we're undergoing now. And then
Mhm.
my new book is called The Consciousness Code, and that is an 8-step guide to awakening your higher self. And it's kind of like a recovery program. Like, I have a long background in recovery from addiction, and I
Mhm.
always wondered, like, I feel like we need a recovery program, like a 12-step program for remembering our true selves, for remembering our higher selves. And how do we do that? And I've learned a lot about that in my journey. So I hope that this book is a massive support to those who are seeking to live in, to live in alignment, to live authentically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. So we'll have the links for your book too. So all of you who are watching the video can also get access to those videos. And then Sydney was also offering a freebie that will link also in the email, and it's called Magic Morning Routine.
Yeah. Oh, so this is one of my favorite resources I've ever created. I use it with all my one-on-one clients, and if anybody ever comes on a retreat with me, I always give this to them to start getting in the habit of creating a morning routine. It's
Mhm.
never been more important than now to have an energetic practice, have some kind of a semblance of spiritual routine that you're doing to connect with your mind, body, spirit, and soul, and set your intentions and practice gratitude and get into movement as well, move energy. So this is a really fun template that you can use and make your own, but it's a really fun process to put into your daily practice. So I hope everyone really enjoys it and has fun.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much for your generosity and your time. And thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody who's watching. And we'll see you soon.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Sydney.
much.
Bye.